Now we're going to do another short technical presentation from Eaton, and it will be handled by Marc Elliot, who is the marketing director. I see Marc is up on the board. Is he? Oh, and he's live and ready to go.
Hi, I'm Marc Elliot. Happy to be here with you today. I'm the marketing director for Eaton Corporation for the mining, metals, and minerals industry. As you may be familiar with, Eaton is no stranger to the harsh and hazardous environments. We've been making power distribution and other power management solutions for well over 100 years. With that, I'd like to jump right into today's session. Today, I'd like to share some specific content in line with the theme provided by our friends at the Canadian Mining Journal. Many of us in the mining industry appreciate the real-world benefits and concerns around what we do. Many miners publicly share their ESG initiatives, and for good reason. You will see the Eaton's messaging off to the side as I go through the agenda. There are three key topics I'd like to touch on in regard to how your electrical infrastructure can be part of your ESG initiatives. First of all, the integration of renewable energy resources. The concept of cogeneration is not new, but the viability of the options we have today is. Having a strong understanding of how you are using energy, identifying ways to use it more effectively and efficiently is important not only to your power bill, but to your carbon footprint. And with today's ever-improving ability to digitize our infrastructure, you can generate analytics and uncover insights to make real-time decisions. We all know that reliable electric power is critical to the success of any mining operation. The concerns of downtime due to electrical issues can be costly and catastrophic. For many years, we have leveraged cogeneration through on-site diesel generators. With the pressure to reduce dependency on fossil fuels and maintain the supply chain to remote sites, miners are looking for options. Today, there's a proliferation of energy sources to consider. The challenge is that we're adding these renewables to our energy system is it adds complexity. The good news is that we have ways to reap the rewards of these alternative energy sources and create a user-friendly, reliable, distributed energy management system. On the next few slides, we'll touch on each of these elements. Creation of your distributed energy resource plan is developing a microgrid energy system. In its most basic form, a microgrid energy system consists of core power distribution equipment, such as switchgear and transformers, a power system automation control station, and of course, the various energy sources. I'll share a little more details later on about the product and solutions in a microgrid energy system. The benefits of the microgrid are numerous. It allows for the user to island their power usage and connect to various energy sources. They can even send that power back to the grid or to an energy storage device on site, which in mining operations of the future might also include electric vehicles. Here you can see, as you read through the bullet points, a few ideas of how microgrids connect to your ESG initiatives. As standalone, energy power management systems have been a fundamental part of the infrastructure at many facilities for decades. Eaton has been designing and installing EPMS for over 40 years. In tandem with a microgrid, the benefits only grow. You can see several of these on the screen. To highlight some of these ideas are, you can identify and mitigate power quality issues before they cause electrical failures. You can monitor power consumption and the available energy from each source, allowing you to use the most cost-effective option. This includes ideas like peak shaving and time of day usage needs. As I shared before, here are the key components and services Eaton offers to get your microgrid up and running, as well as to manage it for the lifetime of the operation. From a service standpoint, it's highly recommended the process starts with the understanding of the nuances of your current distribution system and doing a feasibility study of how to best implement your microgrid. From a product standpoint, having resilient and cost-effective design that minimizes complexity is critical. With that, it's an opportunity to modernize your equipment in the process and have the ability to get better insights into your operation. Here we see, through digitalization of the infrastructure, the ability to capture data is becoming more and more affordable and more relevant. With highly scalable and easy to install solutions, you can capture data from a wide range of electrical and non-electrical devices. Share that data through a secure cloud technology to operators anywhere on or off site at any time of day and gain real-time insights to your operation. Here are a few relevant examples of how digitalization can enhance your operation. As you see in the green call-out boxes, it's the bottom line of what these customers experience when they digitalize their infrastructure. When we talk about ESG initiatives in particular, we can see how they help monitor and mitigate emissions, leaks, and other hazards. We can monitor situations where humans don't want to be there or cannot access that location, remove them out of harm's way. We can gain process insights to mitigate the shutdowns and use this type of system to add to the power management system and manage and reduce your power consumption. In conclusion, I want to share that the mining electrical infrastructure can absolutely be leveraged in these ways to help push forward your ESG initiatives. With that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Good to see you live there. Pleased to see you. We did get a couple of questions come in. First off, I like the idea of leveraging renewable resources at my site, but how would I get started?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think a lot of the dialogue we've had today of the pros and cons and understanding where to start and if it's even viable is real, right? So I know even from Eaton's standpoint, we walked through that same issue on our own side. We've got hundreds of plants around the world, lots of carbon footprint issues that we've got to address. And really what it comes down to is a site assessment is the first stage. You know, I will align it to it's not dissimilar with how miners go through the process today of taking the careful steps. That makes it more affordable. You only do the audit at the right time, advance it to the next stage. But really, you got to look for a company that can be a trusted advisor, has experience with actual costs, you know, with the equipment, with installation process, with the maintenance of it, of those electrical assets, and certainly it helps to have the history of, you know, knowing power monitoring, power quality kind of perspective. So again, just to reiterate that, you know, the first step is really an assessment from a qualified advisor and take it chunks at a time.
Okay. Another question. Adding renewable resources sounds expensive. Is there a reasonable return on investment that makes it worthwhile, or is it just good for reducing the environmental impact?
Yeah, I think we've it just even this last discussion we heard, you know,
Yeah.
How do you identify that, right? It's a real question. It sounds cool. It looks good on your website or on a brochure, but the fact is it really valuable for you to address? And really what you got to do is look at a broader perspective of the benefits of the cost of what it's like to get off the grid or find, you know, distributed energy resources, or DERs as we would call them. And really, so you got to look at how much does downtime cost you, the opportunity to have an alternative source that's not a diesel gen, but you've got an alternative source, the cost of that for downtime, as well as the likelihood of it happening, you got to weigh that into it. And that's individualized, right? But then you also have, as we kind of talked in the earlier thing I shared there, of the benefits of what peak shaving looks like. Your cost structure is going to look different in different parts of the world of where you're getting your energy sources today. So looking at what that cost is and the alternative cost to bring in alternative resources for energy is also an important part of it. So, and then you got to look at the ability these days to sell that power back to the grid. So remember, the costs of running these sites isn't just getting the diesel gen on site or getting the diesel fuel to it. It's also the cost associated with managing it, as well as running your operation in general. So I encourage you to look at, there's lots of breadth to that analysis. There may also be benefits like government funding, or even on the other side, fines that are related to greenhouse gas emissions and your footprint. But when you look at the opportunity then also sell it back, that gets to another discussion. But there are means of using purchase power agreements now to monetize, make that a revenue stream. So when you put all those together, you got to include the total cost of ownership, the procurement, the installation, the maintenance, all those things we talked about, and develop an ROI that's got to be unique to each site. It's doable, but it certainly is important to make sure that we talked about, you got to go through those steps as you go. So it's not for everyone. There are absolutely locations where it works and some where it doesn't. So make a smart decision and analyze it as you go, each step of the way.
Okay, great. Jati, one of the questions somebody asked, how would I make that happen to sell my power back to the grid? So we did get one from someone in the audience. How would you apply this technology to manufacturers, mining company suppliers, I guess those that are supplying the equipment to the industry?
Say that again. How do you apply it to the?
Oh, sorry. how would you apply your technology to manufacturers, like those that are manufacturing the equipment for the mining sector?
Manufacturing, maybe clarify, manufacturing what equipment? The equipment
Oh,
going.
I guess so. They didn't really specify. Just the question is, how would you apply this technology to manufacturers and mining company suppliers?
Yeah, well, I guess when you look at, maybe it's the infrastructure suppliers. So there's a few ways to look at it. There's the mobile equipment, and we touched on that earlier. I think Tony touched on in particular about the mobile equipment market. Well, when those become electrified, those actually become energy power sources, right? And he talked about how it connects to the grid. Well, companies like us and others, you make that componentry on board a mobile equipment device so that it safely stores energy and can run, electrified, and then it's got to come back and dock and come home. Well, now you got to have those all connect, right? So now that where it comes home to get recharged, it's got to recharge somehow, and that goes back to, again, now your total greenhouse gas footprint depends on where am I getting that power to recharge these batteries. So we'd also play in that kind of piece of it too, of you have to have equipment and how safely can monitor the power flow back and forth between wherever you're bringing it in, which could be photovoltaic, it could be wind, it could be off the grid, and then safely transfer that back into the devices such as your mobile equipment. So, and I think that's important. I think also it's very relevant that a lot of these locations will have a wide array of manufacturers' products there. So being able to integrate to a common platform is hugely important, because you got all sorts of aged assets as well as smart and maybe not communicatable assets, and how do you make those all talk to one another? Hope that answers the question. I know that was kind of maybe grandiose, but maybe that worked for us.
No, that's good. I think that got to where we're going with that. And so thank you very, very much, Mark.